everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the Duel podcast. This one I'm very, very excited for because it is my first time previewing a Supernova card. We have Supernova 9 on the show today. I'm old enough into this game where I remember the original Supernova OG, Champagne Supernova, whatever you want to call it. I remember that. We are up to 9, the yearly extravaganza by Synchronicity. And looking at this card, it's definitely worthy of the Supernova title. It might even be a little bit of an overkill. But I'm excited because obviously it's a big card. We've got a few Org alumni on this card as well. So I'm excited to see what they could do. And we'll get right into it. And again, this will be eligible for the Pick'em contest when I get this show posted. This show is emanating on Sunday afternoon from the Wembley Arena in London. So hopefully I can get this up by Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and you guys can have a day or so to get your picks in. A day, maybe 2 even. This is probably the only place on the internet where you're going to avoid Avengers Endgame spoilers right now. So, thanks guys for tuning in and listening. I'm going to see the movie myself tomorrow, so hopefully it'll be good. I'm excited for it. But we're going to run down the card one by one. Typical 10-fight card, and we'll start with Rudy Rod versus Boneless Unger. Or Boneless Unger. We've got Rod versus Unger. Rod is 16, 10, and 2 with 1 no contest. Unger 14 and 6. And this is an interesting one. As I've mentioned before in my previous shows, it's very rare to see submission-type specialists at the highest level. And I think Unger's one of those because he's got almost half of his wins by submission finish. 1 TKO win, 6 submission wins, 7 decision wins. He KO TKO lost twice, 4 decision losses. He's won 3 of his last 5, but he's coming off a loss. And Rod is 1-3-1 in his last 5, but has lost 2 in a row. So he probably needs this one to remain a factor in the division in Synchronicity. Unger is a super streaky fighter in the fact that he lost 4 in a row, and then he won 3 in a row, and now he's lost 1. This is a fight where I really think it could be a coin flip. Rod has quite a noticeable height advantage, but you've got 30 versus 29, very similar fighters. The thing I am most interested in seeing is Rod has 10 losses. He's never been finished by KO TKO. However, he does have a couple of submission losses and 8 decision losses. So is he going to be outworked here? Is he going to be submitted here? That's the outcome that I'm probably going with. I think the shorter fighter will probably be able to get underneath him, take him down, and he'll be looking for the sub for the vast majority of the fight, and I think he'll probably get it. So I'm going to take Unger in the first fight of the evening. Next we have Hiroshi Ikau versus Minik Aiken. And this takes place at 1:45. Ikau, of course, is a famous name in the game. Son of former Hall of Famer Heiku and Ikeu. I can't say these names, guys. I'm sorry. This is his first fight in 10 months, though. So it'll be interesting to see him back in action. As I said, takes place at 145. And he's got a tough opponent in Aiken. But these are both guys who are down on their luck. Ikeu 2-2-1 on a 2-fight losing streak. Aiken 1-3-1 on a 2-fight losing streak as well. So both guys need this one. 13-3-1 for Ikeu. 16-5-1 for Aiken. As I said, it's Ikeu's first fight since June of last year. It's a tight one. The only primary advantage I see is Aiken does have a Muay Thai advantage. Looking at the stats, it's a question of power versus chin. Because Ikeu has never been finished by KO TKO. Aiken has 11 of his 16 wins by KO TKO stoppage. When that is the case, I always, especially in the lower weight classes, and this is 145, I always bet on the chin if primary skills are similar. So I'm taking Ikeu in the second fight of the evening. Third, we have Gallagher versus Thorne. Liam Gallagher versus Damian Thorne. Both guys that I've covered before. Thorne has won 3 out of his last 5, coming off a loss. Gallagher, he lost 4 straight, but is coming off a win. 18-12 for Gallagher. 25-13 for Thorne. Gallagher has the primary advantage in every area except BJJ. But this is at 265. So it's really going to come down to power and, all it can take is one shot at heavyweight. 16 of the 18 wins of Gallagher are KO TKO. We'll get to some big heavyweights later. And 18 of the 25 wins of Thorne are by the same variety. And both guys have lost quite a bit by KO TKO as well. Thorne 8 of his 13 losses. Gallagher actually only 4 of his 12 losses, but he's lost 7 other decisions. I've flip-flopped on this one. I originally was going to pick Damian Thorne. Another big 14-centimeter height discrepancy as well. But seeing the stats and looking at it a little closer, I feel more confident that Gallagher's going to win. Because I think he's got the bigger power, or has been more aggressive historically in his career, and Thorne may have the weaker chin. So I'm going to take Gallagher, but I'm not confident at all in that pick, because I was originally going to pick Thorne, and I flip-flopped looking deeper into the stats while doing my pre-show research. Fourth, we have Risto Ratoi. I apologize to Bob. Bob's my friend. Sometimes I can't do it. We got Bob versus Randall. 2 guys that I know reasonably well in this game. Ratoi versus Gunnar Wild. Gunnar Wild, former Pride alum, and very happy to see him moving to the elite level. We discussed it before he left, and it was kind of like I don't know how much longer Gunner has left. I want the big payday. I want to go see how I am against the best of the best competition, which is totally fair in my eyes. Ratoy has won 3 of his last 5, 2 straight. Wild has won 4 straight. We have 22-9 versus 23-11. Very, very similar stats. Very, very similar rank. The only big difference that I see, and I do think this fight is a coin flip, but the big difference that I see is the power advantage that Risto seems to have. He's got 19 of his 22 wins by stoppage. And Gunner has been stopped 6 times by strikes, by finish. So I think that's going to be the turning point in this fight when all skills are even. So I'm going to take Risto, but I'll probably be cheering for Gunner just because I want to see one of our guys take down some of the Synchronicity's best. We'll see. We'll see. But my head says Risto. And the final fight on the first half of the card. This is nuts. The final fight on the first half of the card features Orlando Diggs. Yeah, that Orlando Diggs. That's how crazy this card is. Orlando Diggs is 6th on the card. Orlando Diggs versus Yancey Mataki III. This is a fight where you've got a guy who hasn't really been at the top in Synchronicity yet versus a guy who's lived at the top. It's a very interesting fight because Mataki's won 4 in a row and he's getting a shot against a huge name. He's fought Diggs before and lost a majority decision, so very, very close fight. Diggs, of course, is on a 2-fight losing streak after being one of the game's most prominent fighters for a long, long time. Still a top, 60, 70 fighter. Still top 10 in his weight class, even after 2 losses. Skills very even. Diggs 38-15. This will be his 54th fight. Mataki 25-11. Mataki only has 6 finishes and 25 wins. Diggs actually only has 12 and 38 wins. So likely this is going to the scorecards again. This is at 170. Both have been finished twice by strikes. Both have been finished quite a bit by submission. Mataki, 6 of his losses are by sub. Diggs, 5 of his are by sub. These fighters are very much mirror images of each other. One's on a cold streak, one's on a hot streak. But if doing my job and choosing, I'm going to take Orlando Diggs based on a couple things. One, they fought before and Diggs won, and I don't think much will have changed since then. And 2, I've got to go with experience here. 54 fights, 37 fights, but Diggs has been at the top of the game, top of the game, and had success. I don't know if retirement's coming up soon. I know there were rumblings of that previously, but I'm going to take Diggs here and go with what I would view as the safer selection. Okay, so that wraps up our first half of this card. And then I'm going to plug some of our sponsors as per usual. And then we'll be right back with half number 2 of Supernova 9. Promotional consideration paid for by the following: HGH Nutrients. When regular steroids just aren't good enough, visit HGH Nutrients, located on the New York High Street, an official sponsor of Empire 310K. They have 5 Monster 160 supplements for all of your fighting needs. The king of the EQ is ready to serve you at HGH Nutrients in New York. Sin City All-Stars, official sponsor of Pride FC, has everything you need after a tough night on the strip. Come to Vegas for 2 genuine 160 products, as well as the biggest sponsor on the market. Sin City All-Stars, Vegas today. Urban Fighter in New York continues the tradition of providing stylish clothing for great prices. Need to stand out on your way to the cage? Don't delay and come and see what Urban Fighter has in store for you. Welcome back, everyone, to half 2 of Supernova 9. And we start off half number 2, the final 5 fights in the preview, with a 145 bout between Esteban St. Pedro and Brody Cavanaugh. Another intriguing one to me, because these are 2 guys that I have previewed before. Both top 100 fighters. Cavanaugh coming on a 3-fight win streak, former champ, and St. Pedro rebounding with a win in his last fight after losing 2. Cavanaugh hasn't lost since losing the title. He's back in contention again. St. Pedro, looking at his opponents now, you can see what happened, so to speak, because he fought Archie Griffiths, and then he fought Gareth Keenan, which is like death in this division. 145, as I said, St. Pedro 17-5-1, Cavanaugh 27-11-2. Both guys have big power for the division, or reasonable power for the division. Cavanaugh's got 10 finishes, which I consider a lot in this division, and then St. Pedro has 13. Cavanaugh's been finished 3 times, 8 decision losses. St. Pedro 1-1-3. Skills are very, very even, except for the fact that St. Pedro has a Muay Thai primary advantage. Cavanaugh's got a bit of a height advantage, but not too much. Very close fight, because these 2 guys, whoever wins this fight, is probably... St. Pedro will be a top 10 fighter in the division if he wins. Cavanaugh will probably be a top 5 guy on a 4-fight win streak if he wins. Not confident in this pick at all, and there's nothing really to choose between them. But I'm taking St. Pedro. I still believe that the younger, or the less experienced generation, I always thought he was going to be a champ when he came over to Sin. So far, it's been mixed returns for him. But 28 versus 33, I'm going to take the younger guy in this case. And I'm going to take St. Pedro because I picked him twice and he lost. And then I didn't pick him and he won. Or I doubted him and he won emphatically. So I'm going to take St. Pedro and that'll be my pick there. 4th last fight on the card, we just spoke about one of St. Pedro's previous opponents, and we got another fight here at 145. Don Judson, thanks Alex for making that harder than it should be, and Gareth Keenan. This is a fight where Johnson has been a staple for a long time at the top of his class, and he's just looking for the big challenge. He's 17-2. He won, I think it was 12 in a row at one point. And this will be, I think, the biggest challenge of his career. And we talked about the finishing skill of some of the previous opponents. Gareth Keenan is just a guy who will wear you down and make you quit. He's 3-1-1 in his last 5, 33-6-4 overall, but he has 9 finishes in 33 wins. He's just a guy who will make your life miserable, and then the judges will give him a lopsided win. The big advantage for him here, he has advantage in all primaries. He's number 1 guy in the weight class, ranked 10th overall. Johnson, number 7 in the weight class, still a top 50 guy. Neither guy has ever been finished by KO TKO. Although Johnson has 13 of his 17 wins by KO TKO. Keenan is between the 8 losses that these two guys have, 7 have been by decision. There was 1 sub-loss for Keenan, but otherwise neither guy has been finished inside the distance. I certainly see this going. This is a 5-round fight as well, so that's interesting to me. I certainly see this going the distance, going all 5 rounds. But I have to take Keenan here because, as I said earlier in the show, when I see the battle of power versus chin at the lower weight classes, I always take the chin. And neither of these guys, as I said, has been finished by strikes. Johnson's got a lot of power, but I think Keenan's chin is going to hold up over 5 rounds, and he'll take a decision victory in this case. Next, third last, we have super fight. We have Pablo Marincon versus Russell Tyrone Jones, ODB. Fascinating fight to me, because these are two guys that I respect as much as any in the game. Marincon's kryptonite seems to be Deosanin. He's lost to him twice, but he's won every other fight he's had in Gamma. So his Gamma record, if I'm counting right, he has beat Sonnen once as well, but Sonnen's got the 2-1 advantage in their 3-fight trilogy. If I'm counting right, he's 10-2 in Gamma, and he's won 4 straight. Russell, he's won 3 in a row after coming off a couple of losses. Mad Mood is kind of a common thread for them. They both have victories over him. Jones has a loss as well. When you get to this level, it's so hard to make a choice between them. This is the 3rd fight on the card, 3rd last fight, and you get the number 2 guy at middleweight going up against the number 3 guy at middleweight. Marincon with a slight Muay Thai advantage, but we're 31-9-1 versus 34-10-2, and this is the elite of the elite. 25 decision wins for Marincon, but chin of steel, 14 TKO wins for Tyrone Jones, 14 decision wins as well. In this particular case, again, I think the weight class is kind of in the middle, so this is a very debatable fight. But I'm going to take the chin in the coin flip. I'm going to take Marincone to beat Jones by decision, but this very easily could go either way. Then we have our co-main event, another 5-round fight at 205. The number 2 fighter at 205 versus the number 3 fighter at 205. Nick Murphy versus Pride's 205 champ, 3-Dog. 3-Dog is on a tear. He ran through CEFC, had won 3 straight when we picked him up. Since we picked him up, he's got 2 more first-round stoppages, and he's won 5 in a row. He's 24-13, 12 wins by KO/TKO. Out of his 13 losses, 10 have been by decision, which to me is pretty impressive at the 205 level. Murphy, 24-5, world-class fighter, 13 by KO/TKO. He's won 4 of his last 5. Never been finished. All of his losses have gone the distance, so I don't foresee this one being a stoppage either, because as I said, 18 losses between the two guys, only 3 finishes total. So I've got this one going the distance. I'd really, really like to see 3-Dog take a victory. I think his best course of action to get a victory is probably a submission, because he's got 8 submission wins, and he does have a jiu-jitsu advantage, black belt versus brown, and a wrestling advantage as well, whereas Murphy holds a striking primary advantage. This is a case where Murphy is the shorter fighter, though, so it might be hard to get in and take him down. Plus, Dog has a bigger weight cut. He's got to cut 15 pounds. Murphy's right on the number, pretty much. Very, very tough fight to call. This is probably the fight that I'm most interested in watching, because win or lose, our champ is coming back to 205 in Pride, so it'll be interesting to see if he's coming off a big win, or if we've got a title challenger in Pride that can give him as much of a challenge as Murphy maybe can. But in this case, I don't think 3-Dog has quite enough power to crack the chin of Murphy. So I think, as I said, his best course of action is looking for a submission win. Not sure he's going to get that either. So I'm going to take Murphy by decision, but I wouldn't be shocked if Dog pulls this off either. So I'm going to take Murphy. But you know who I'll be cheering for. I'll be pulling for our champ to come back home with a win. Speaking of champs coming back home, we have Phil Hellmuth Jr. versus Wesley Correa. And this is a crazy fight. Hellmuth Jr. 5th in the weight class, 15th in the world at heavyweight. Correa, 2nd in the weight class, 7th pound for pound in the world. Both these guys are just destroyers. This, if there's one guarantee I can make, this is another 5-round fight. If there's one guarantee I can make, it's whoever wins this fight, it's not going to the judges. Somebody's getting finished, because these two guys have 63 combined wins. 62 of the 63 are by stoppage, by punching guys in the head. Now, Helmuth 40-8, all 40 wins. Stoppage. Correa 23-3-1, all except one. One decision win, 22 wins by stoppage. And this is kind of a unique story because these are two guys that I've always kind of doubted. I picked up Helmuth to fight because he had a few months off and Drago was kind of like, okay, let's see what he can do. Let's see if he's still got something. And he won the title in his first fight out, defended it 4 more times, and then won a couple of super fights. He beat. I doubted that he could beat Puno, and he did that. And I doubted that he could beat. Well, I picked him against Brad Lesnar, and he won that fight as well. But he's currently on a 9-fight win streak, so he's tough to doubt. Whereas Wesley Correa, another guy who's tough to doubt, on a 6-fight win streak. And he came right over from Dare as the champ, beat Kwame Zulu, or finished his career in Dare/Sin Europe, beating Kwame Zulu. And then came in and beat and destroyed Kimbo Slice. And then beat Kachawan to follow up to prove it wasn't a fluke. Won his fight there. So, it's just... This is a fight that I am torn over. I have my allegiances. This is another one where I'll probably be cheering for Helmuth Jr. because of the history with my own org. So, as much as I never claim these podcasts to be objective, I just do them for fun. So, as much as there's a bit of a bias in here, neither of these guys that I can doubt, because I doubted Helmuth in the super fight arena, and he's proven me wrong. And I doubted Correa against Kimbo Slice, and he proved me wrong, and he proved he wasn't a fluke by defending his title. As I said, the only guarantee I can make is this is ending in a violent finish for somebody. I gotta go with Correa. I think Correa's a guy who's in his prime and has been destroying people. He's 28 years old. He's probably got a few years at the top of the game if he can keep this up, but heavyweight's a fickle business. Helmuth Jr., he's 42. He wants to test himself against the best of the best and see how he fares. If I had to guess, I think Correa's probably got this one. I'm betting that this ends with a cut stoppage. I think that's how it's going to end. I think it'll be a cut stoppage, and I think Correa is going to take it by a cut. But again, my head says Correa, my heart will be with Helmuth Jr., just because of the history I have there. So to recap in full all of the picks, we've got I've got Unger, AKU, Gallagher, Risto, Diggs, St. Pedro, Keenan, Marincone, Murphy, Correa. Again, Unger, EKU, I think. Am I sure on that one? Yeah, 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 I'm sure. Just double checking. Unger, EKU, Gallagher, Risto, Diggs, St. Pedro, Keenan, Marincone, Murphy, Correa. So I'll post this up today. Today's Friday morning as I'm recording. And you guys can get your picks in for the pick'em. I get them in by Sunday afternoon. And we'll see who wins. Supernova IX should be a good one. I'm no good at predicting sin cards because I tend to the ones that I've previewed tend to have a lot of upsets on them, in my opinion anyway. So this will be fun. We'll see what happens. As for the future of the Duel podcast, I'm not really sure what's going to happen because this was the last card that I had been contacted by anybody as far as org ownership is concerned as a big event that they wanted coverage for, that the community was interested in. So I really don't have anything planned in May, and I'd also need to talk to my sponsors as far as running potentially new ads for the show as well. So if you have any interest in getting something featured, whether it be a single fight, a main event and a co-main event, a full card, if you have any sponsorship that you want to do, payment that you want to send for anything I do on the show, thank you very much and I appreciate it. As I said, I have no future episodes planned at this point in time. The one thing that I have talked about doing is maybe having a guest or two on if the community is interested in that. And we'll see what happens. But right now, nothing planned for May. I've done 3 episodes in the last week or so, or last 8 or 9 days. So I'll probably take next week off, or take a little bit of time away, and then in mid-May we'll probably get back to it. Or second week of May we'll probably get back to it, and come up with a more long-term plan. But as I said, anybody who wants to do anything in regards to previews or reviews or sponsorship or just paying to have something done or discussing terms on a deal or anything and everything, as long as there's some interest in it, get in touch with me in the game. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to respond to a lot of people who have been messaging me lately because, as some of you may know, I've had some medical issues that I've been dealing with for the last 6 weeks or so. Those are on the upturn for me. I'm hoping that within the next 3 or 4 weeks, I should be back to 100%. We'll see what happens there, but I'll try and take the time to, when I find the time, return everybody's messages. But please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out if there's something that a collaboration or something that you want to do or want to make. But thanks so much, guys, for listening. That's going to be it for me. I really hope you enjoy Supernova IX. And until next time, keep fighting.